Did you ever do something that you regret? And in that moment, you knew you shouldn't be doing it? Kind of felt like, I want it. This thing feels good, tastes good, it's great, but you knew you shouldn't be doing it, right? And you couldn't stop. You couldn't stop doing this thing that felt so good that you knew you shouldn't be doing, but it's like this insatiable need to continue on this thing to quench this thirst. Yeah, that's never happened to me at all. No, I'm just kidding. So, my name's Capurso. Thank you, Ashley, for giving me the introduction. I've done a lot of things. If you look up there, there's a lot of different things that you can say I've done or I've experienced. I've been an IFBB pro, I've been on the cover of magazines, I've worked on Wall Street, on the floor as a trader, I've been named Wall Street's fittest man. So a lot of things have allowed me to sit here and talk to you today about some experiences. But there's a story I want to tell you in all of this, and my wife is going to be responsible for some of this. And Wendy, give her a hand over there. But in this, and we're going to talk a little bit about health and fitness, and this was supposed to be a January conversation. And things happen, so here we are in May. So hopefully everyone's out doing okay. But I gained 20 pounds in 2 days. Some of you, I don't know if that's a thing that you do often, but it's not for me. But in the life that I was living at the time, I was an IFBB pro, physique bodybuilder, whatever, that's usually what they call it, bodybuilder. So I went through this extreme contest prep, 16, 12 weeks. I'm not really sure exactly what time it was on how long it took me to get there, but I went through these extreme bouts of consistency where I was training religiously and I was eating religiously and I was strict and I was a rock, and I would take my body fat from some level of say 10% down to this 2-3%, this cover model status. And then I would have the show, and it would be about 5 minutes long, and I would have my fame on stage, and then after, what do you think happened? There's this extreme consistency, and then there's what? and that's what happened. And we go from extreme concentration and extreme amount of pressure that's put on you, and then it's over. And then what do? You let it all go. So I'm sure you guys can relate. You know, people that are on a diet and they go so hard for so long and they felt so good about themselves, and then they want a reward, and then they treat themselves. And we're going to talk a little bit about that treat and talk about that process and what's going to happen in the cycle and effect. But Wendy's responsible for 5 of those pounds because in that 20-pound gain after my show, she built me a 5-pound ice cream. We actually weighed it. I know. It's weird. But it was so good at the time, and I couldn't stop, and I knew I shouldn't be doing it. And what happened after the fact, my ankles even swelled. I had edema in my ankles. You could touch them in it, you could actually push them. It was nasty. But the reason I tell you this today is because, you know, we go from extreme bouts of consistency into vulnerability, into this place where it's out of your control. And we need to understand the process that takes us to these consistent places and then takes us out. Lori and I just had a conversation a second ago about why is it so easy to get off track. It takes 21 days or some amount of days, right? There's a specific number of days that gurus have said it takes to be consistent and build habits, but it takes only 1 second to derail yourself. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So control. Do you think an event can change your life? An event can change the course of your life? Generally speaking, you think that's possible?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I would assume, I think most of us, I would say it's possible. And I'm going to ask for some participation today. So if I'm asking you to raise your hand, do that. I understand some people just aren't hand raisers. It's not their thing. They're just not doing that. But did you guys know that if you win the lotto, there's a 70% chance that you'll go bankrupt? It's a statistic, I didn't make that one up, but it's literally 70% chance of somebody winning the lotto to give all that money back because they foolishly spent it on something. Because what didn't change? Their habits. So if they were broke before they won the lotto, they're going to be broke after they won the lotto because something didn't change unless they got some advice or some change, a habit or something else. If you start a diet, you're probably going to do that 9 times in a year. People, on average, diet 9 times a year. It's crazy. Why didn't the first one work? Why didn't the second one work, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth, or the sixth, or the seventh? But that's currently what we know right now from statistics. 9 times a year, people start and stop a diet. Crazy. So, why does that happen? Control. And so I'm going to ask you guys, and ladies, I think there's only one guy actually. Who's in control? And do you really think you have control? Do you really think you're in control of your life? Raise your hands. This is participation. Raise your hands if you think you're in control of your life. Wow. I was going for the opposite. I was thinking that you guys are not going to raise or you're going to raise your hands on that one and not the other one. Okay, so the other people that didn't raise their hands, I'm assuming it's just not your thing, right? Or it's not in your control, right? I don't know which one. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to give you some perspective. Right now, you're sitting on a spinning rock that's floating around a fireball, connected by this thing called gravity. Are you really in control? I don't know about that one. Control has so many different levels, and we're going to talk about the one that's happening to you daily that you don't even realize is happening to you. It's autonomous. It's like a drone. Somebody's driving you. And that's the control, that's your habit, that happens over consistency and time. So we're going to talk a little bit about that one today. Addiction. Are you currently addicted? Do you currently have an addiction? And I know this is a serious topic and I'm going to use it for a point. And if you're in addiction, it's certainly not a moral failing. It's something that currently happens, and we got to have some grace with those folks that do have this problem. But addiction. Is anyone currently addicted to something? Okay. How about now? Are you currently addicted to sweets, food, alcohol, drugs, social media, TV, working out? You think about working out, right? How about now? How many hands? Amazon. How about now? Hands. All right.
But we have control over that.
Ooh, do you?
He doesn't like the GPS man come down and drop it.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it. So we need to understand our addiction and talk a little bit about what's happening, the processes that are happening to our bodies and the signals that were being sent and the things that are going on that we don't even know. So we can control it, so we can get ahead of it, because you're going to come out of this tonight, hopefully I give you a framework that you can have some change. And you can actually see what's going on and be aware of the signals that are coming at you. And so that's really what this thing's going to be about today. So if you need jot notes, hopefully everyone's got a little bit, I'm going to give you some ideas. Hopefully you can take some of these and work with them. But I want to make sure that you guys know that this is serious. And although we joke around and we talk about these things that aren't so serious, and some of them anyway, on this list that aren't so serious, they can add up. And those small things add up to something that could be out of your control. And so I do want to say that this is serious because sometimes those things are driving you. So how did it happen? We're built to survive. As humans, we are built to survive. From evolution to walking outside right now and it's cold, if it were cold. What would happen if we walked outside right now and it's cold and we had a short sleeve on? And if I put my hand up, what would happen? I would have goosebumps. And goosebumps are a natural reaction to your body signaling, hey, I'm cold, I need to grow. And what is this going to do? It's going to grow hair. You're going to see your hair stand up on the side, on your arms, and you're actually growing hair in response to some signal that your body's taken in. And then what happens if I were to do something like that, bang or boom, you get scared. Your body's going to start giving your heartbeat's going to raise, and endorphins are going to go off, and you're going to be in this fight or flight mode. And it's a signal, it's a response that you didn't actually tell your body, oh, start beating faster, we're going to do something here. It just happens. So we have to understand that these signals happen autonomously without our control, and you got to be aware. So as we get into this a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit about how it happens. So the nerdy stuff. So the limbic system is going to basically be our command center. So as these things happen, processes happen, it's going to tell us what's going to be good or bad for us. And so this is command, okay? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then what happens when we do command and we have the system of having something good like a suite, or we'll get into it in a second, Amazon. So what happens when Amazon happens is we order to give us something that's going to be good for us. And then the UPS guy or the post office comes, he's driving in your driveway, and you see him, ding, 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 ding. What happens, ladies and Scott? You get excited. It's a new treat. It's like Christmas every day. You got something coming in the mail, a little package, maybe a little bows on it sometimes. But that experience that you open the box and what's inside is a new package. It's something cool. I'm going to love it. I'm going to have it. Yeah, it's just another package. Then what happens? So you get this heartbeat, a little rush, and get you a little high, and then you remorse. Should have bought that. Is that what happens? Anyone? Yeah, me? My wife. Okay. But dopamine gets released, and it's coming from command. And every time you have this good process happen to you, command says that's good. You eat something good, you have drugs, alcohol, sweets, social media, dopamine response, somebody likes your picture. A signal is being sent automatically, and then you reinforce this behavior. And so when Lori said it's so easy to get off track from the 21-day consistent habit, but you have this command that says dopamine's being released. No matter if you know it's good or bad for you up here, your body's going to send the signal anyway. And that's kind of the problem that we have to be aware of. So, just making sure that we get into something that we're going to call the habit loop. So, what happens? Your body is going to send this cue, a signal. And so your body sends a cue. And your cue could be hunger, emotions, smell, time that you've seen someone. There's an experience, a great book. Has anyone read Atomic Habits? James Clear, great book. If you have not read that one, put that one on your to-do list. A great book. Some of this will come out of that. But, he mentioned this woman who used to smoke when she was riding a horse. And, she stopped smoking, quit for years and years and years. And then she jumped back on a horse. And then she was like, I had this sudden craving to have a cigarette. And this was like 20 years later. So you can walk into a room and have a smell or just be in this position where you've seen this before and it reminds you of something. Maybe people in a bad relationship or a bad place in themselves, they'll walk into this place and get reminded of this process and it just sends you down this whole spiral, good or bad. It could send you into an emotional eating spiral. It could send you into a place of being scared, but this cue happens. And then what you want to do is you have a craving. Whether that's to run from it or go towards it, you have a craving. So a cue triggers a craving. So the next part of that is the craving. So after your craving, what happens? You want to itch this craving. You have an itch. You want to get this craving. You want to work on it. So then you're going to have a response. A response. So this action, this step, you're going to actually say, okay, I have a cue. I'm going to have a craving. I need to itch this craving, so I'm going to move. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to eat something. I'm going to put it in my belly. I'm going to have this action response. And then the reward. Then you get this thing and you feel this whole process. And it happens over and over and over and over. And it's built into you and it's ingrained into you and it's going to continue. And you don't even know what's happening. And so your responses, the things that you eat, the things that you experience with somebody are happening always. And your body's learning, jotting it down always, over and over and over and over until it's completely automatic. And so when you do things, give yourself some grace because your body's doing it because of you. It doesn't really matter. But you can teach it, you can train it, you can help it, you can provide it good things. And we can talk about different ways you can put different cues in place or respond or take away from that cue that's going to respond. If you know that you're going to smell this thing all the time, don't get that smell in your body. Don't come near it. If you know this place is bad for you, stay away from that place. If you know this person's bad for you, stay away from that person. You can remove cues and triggers and different things that are going to put you in this habit cycle that could get you into a bad place or a good place, but you have the power to control that stuff, and that's what we're going to get into. Is an addiction a habit, or vice versa? Like, what's the difference?
No, probably not the right definition.
Okay, Stacy?
Not really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody know what the difference between an addiction and a habit?
I would say habit is more something that you just do mindlessly. So I will just use an example. Scrolling through Facebook could become more of a habit because you're bored. But then on the other side of that, when it's an addiction, is when you're going to get something out of that. So you have to use that as a healing.
Okay. Anybody else?
I was going to say an addiction produces a feeling. You do it over and over and over because you like the feeling you get from an addiction.
Well, habits do the same thing, but you guys are right. They're nearly the same. There's just one small difference. An addiction is going to be bad for you, bad for somebody else. It's going to be damaging. It can hurt you, and you can't control it. A habit gives you the same endorphins. Your body doesn't differentiate a habit versus an addiction, but the only thing is we differentiate at the end of it is if this habit turns bad enough where it's actually detrimental to our health, it can harm others, and we can't literally stop it. It's something that needs to be impeded from another source. So something very serious to look at. But the good news is for all the people that raised their hands before on that list of the sweets and treats and different things of that nature, Amazon, those are habits. I think we've taken those to the extremes. So good news there. And it's sending that signal, that dopamine that's being released all the time. But there's some great news here, guys. Here's a quote that I like. Wendy and I were in a class together, and this is something that came up, and it was the American Rhythmic class that we took at our church. And a great thing that came out of the class was this quote, and I just posted it last night, and I didn't get a lot of likes. So if you follow me online, go like my post. It's really good for me. It gives me dopamine response, so I'll get happy. If you're looking past the mirror, you're looking too far. And we want to kind of get into that because you have the control. Oftentimes, we want what we don't have. Grass is greener on the other side. We want this thing that we don't have. Yet, the hack is this. We're goal setting the wrong way, y'all. We are looking for something, that's we don't have, we can't touch, we can't taste, we can't feel because we've never experienced it. We want to be a millionaire. How do you know? How do you know you want to be a millionaire? How do you know you want those problems? How do you know you want to play with that money and could it get you in trouble? Do you really want a millionaire? Do you want the bigger house? Do you want the bigger muscles? Do you want to be really skinny? Do you know what it's like to be a really skinny person? Maybe you're going to have body dysmorphia or these other things. Do you want to be a big person? Do you want these big muscles? We want all these things that we currently don't have in our current universe, and that's usually what we goal set off of, which is probably the wrong way in my experience because those things don't last. Those are the things that we reach for and we fail. That's why we start a diet 9 times, because we're looking at it the wrong way. But what we should be doing is hack the order in reverse. We should look at the current pain that you're in, the current place that you can experience, that you can taste, you can feel, you can work, you can wake up, and you can say, this is my life. This is currently what's going on. You got to identify what you don't want. You got to identify where you're currently in pain, where you actually have issues. What is going on today with you right now? I wake up. What's my life? I'm experiencing it. I have pain in my knees, or I ache, or I have energy problems, or I don't have enough money in my bank account, or I don't have these things. But where you are today is where you need to focus your attention, not where you want to be, but where you are right now. Because you can feel those, you can taste those, you can have those, you can touch those, you can have pain from those, you can laugh from those. The things that you're doing right now are going to give you all the benefits to make yourself better later. And that's what we're going to work on. And so we gotta find out what that hack is, what we can do to get there. And so we got to find the pain. So part of this action plan today is going to be digging down deep to find the pain. And we're going to kind of go through some of these steps right now. But if we can get down to the nitty-gritty, the places where we are in pain today, we can fix our current situation by looking currently in the mirror and say, okay, where am I not well enough? Where do I have pain? How can I go from pain to pleasure? And take these small things as small wins, because if you can win today, you can actually make a habit loop. You can actually say, okay, I took this thing where I was painful today and I made it better. Now I'm going from this place over here all the way over here. It's climbing a mountain. You don't do it leaping the mountain. You do it one step at a time. You put one foot in front of the other. You put your jeans down left from right, or which way you do it. But you do it one step at a time, and that's the current way that you should be taking a look at your habits and attacking them from the current set of pain that you currently have. I don't have enough money in my bank account. I got a job. Get a side hustle. Let's figure it out. Let's do better at your job. Let's move up the ladder. There's ways to improve where you are today. If I have pain in my knees and joint, etc., is my diet in check? Maybe that's part of the problem. I'm using inflammatory foods, etc. There's a whole lot we could do. But let's get into this pain a little bit. Give you some ideas. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You're currently in debt. You got poor sleep, bad job, low energy, poor influences, low self-esteem, medical illness, body dysmorphia, somebody who's not really happy with your body one way or the other, and then you got hereditary traits that you want to get ahead of. Somebody in your family has died of a heart attack every year at 50, 60. You want to get ahead of it. You want to live a long life. You have a family. You have kids. You want to be around. I hear this all the time at Rockbox when we're in sales. the people that give me all these reasons, but they're not telling me all the time the why. They're telling me what I want to hear, and that's the wrong way about it. You got to look in the mirror, find the pain for yourself, because it's the only way to get better. And the only way to be consistently better, because it's something that you have and you live with every single day, and you can match yourself up against how well you're doing. Not when you're trying to be a millionaire and you only have $100 in your bank account, because that's going to be a long road. But how about looking in the mirror and say, am I in pain today? Am I in pain tomorrow? Is this hurting? Am I getting better? Is the weight going down? Is the scale moving? Etc. Guys, I'm from New York. I talk fast. Connected anyway. Just to let you know. Sorry. I was told to slow down, but it's not my thing. All right. A couple steps ahead. So, action plan. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask you if you can do this, not right now, but just write down little cues here. Pain or time wasters scorecard. So it's a really good idea for you to actually take a look at your day and find out what you're doing, where you're wasting your time, what things you could be doing to improve your time. It's a really good thing for specifically habits, but when we reverse the order, I would say look at everything and literally jot down it all. It doesn't matter, don't you're scrolling on social media, put it down. I would say take a look at 15-minute increments and literally just do this for a couple of days and just see how much time you waste. Most often people say, I don't have time. BS, I don't have time. Yes, you do. I don't have time. I can find about 2 hours in your day. Yes, I can. If you want to do it, I'll come up to me after. We'll do it real quick. But you have time. You have energy. You have all these things that you tell yourself that you don't have. You do. You just have to find out where you're basically spoiling yourself or putting yourself in a position where you're wasting time, or you're in pain because of X, Y, and Z. I'm eating bad, I'm having these inflammatory foods, I'm doing this bad thing, I'm drinking, I'm taking drugs, these are hurting you. So get out of that pain, but find it. Look at your scorecard and find the pain. List your daily activities, and you could list them from a standpoint whether it helps or hurts. Helps or hurts or neutral. So after you list them, then you're going to put it basically down and you're going to label them. Does this help me? Does this hurt me? Or is it indifferent and neutral? And again, we might have to look at the neutrals a little bit more closely because I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that's neutral. Give themselves the benefit of the doubt. Don't do that. Be critical of yourself and what's going on. Identity. So here's an example. Do you smoke?
No.
Of course you don't. Right? Of course nobody smokes. But if you did, let's just say you and I want to go grab a cigarette, right? So and you're trying to quit. This is part of the story. So she's trying to quit. Smoker trying to quit. So, hey, what's your name?
Denise.
Denise. Hey, Denise. Let's go grab a smoke. Let's go outside. Want to go outside? How come? Denise is trying to quit smoking cigarettes, okay? Thanks, Denise. You're just right in front. You're easy. So Denise is trying to quit smoking cigarettes. What did she say? Can someone repeat it for me? What did she say? She said, I'm trying to quit, okay? What would a person, what's your name? Amelia. You don't smoke. And if you don't right now.
No.
Okay, just checking. I'm going to ask you to go have a cigarette, and you're not a smoker. What do you say to me?
I quit.
Okay. How about you never started?
Oh, I never started. I'm not a smoker.
Thank you. That's the one I wanted. So one of these people are trying to quit. Trying, be the key word. And the other one says, I'm not a smoker. Identity. So whenever you're trying to do something, branding, Rockbox, check it out. Whenever you're trying to do something, right, we're attempting to right your wrong, get yourself in the identity of the person who would be that way. So she's trying to quit, but yet she doesn't smoke. What if she said, I don't smoke? What if she framed it by saying, I don't do this? Because she's thinking of herself as a non-smoker. And so she's already creating the identity in herself that she says, I don't do this thing. So she could be kidding herself because she knows she's a smoker and she's feeding it. She's like, I don't want to smoke. But if she created this identity, she's believing in herself. She's affirming it to herself first right away, which matters everything, because when you create an identity, you have so much more belief in yourself and your ways to make that habit a reality. And so that's where I would say creating an identity is the most important part of it. How can we get better at this? Besides creating an identity, after we went through our system, maybe I'll come back to this slide real quick. After we went through our scorecard and we listed all the things that we were wasting our time, we create an identity. And then in that identity, so if it's saying I want to go away from pain to positive, then you would say like this, you'd say, okay, well, what does the person who's not in pain have a life like? What do they feel like? What is their life? What are their actions? What do they do? And then you're going to beehive mentality or BJ Fogg method, where you're just going to dump on paper and kind of list and sort these different things. And you're going to say, okay, what are all the activities that the person who doesn't smoke do? What are all the persons that, and let's just take fitness as easy. Somebody who's into fitness, into health and nutrition. What are all the things that somebody who's into fitness would do? And it's kind of like the what would Jesus do moment, and I'll get into that in a second. What would a person who, what would Jesus do? That's the bracelet that people wear. What would a person who do this thing, act like, feel like, be like? And so you could write down all those steps, those traits, those characters that a person who does this thing is like, and you write them down, and then you can mirror and you mock, and you say, I want to be this way, I'm going to act this way, I'm going to feel this way, I'm going to do this way. And so that's a good way to go take a look at your habits that you're currently in and say, I'm going to reframe this habit for this thing. I'm going to change and swap them out. So that's the way you want to hack that problem, is take a look at who you want to be and do that thing. SMART system, y'all. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So this is a way to goal set properly. So notice I didn't start with goal setting first. We wanted to attack identity, reverse the problem, find out where we're in pain, and move away from it. But as we're identifying who we want to be, we want to talk about SMART goal systems and taking a look at those processes that we said before. We are going from a place where we're identifying who we want to be to setting a plan for success. So let's take a look at the top. Specific. Give yourself a specific thing. I want to get out of pain, and an easy one, I'm just going to attack fitness because it's just so easy to do when it's just very easy to do. So specific, I want to feel better without pain. I want to lose 20 pounds because of X, Y, and Z. So 20 pounds is specific. It's something I can reach for. What happens is most people will give some wild thing that they don't even know if it happened to them, if it happened. I want to work on my health. Really? If you hit it, if you got it, would you know it? No. Right? So get down and dirty with your goals. Figure out exactly what that thing is, label it, circle it, put it on the table, and say, that's what I'm going to go after. It's measurable, so you can track it. You can see if you're improving towards it. It's attainable. It's something that's not outlandish. It's not outside your comfort zone where you can actually get it, but it's hard enough to reach, like a donkey and a carrot. It's something you're going after. It's relevant. It's relevant to you. It's not to my wife. She wants a lot of things from me, like playing the guitar, but it's something I wanted to do, but it's kind of her thing. It's, I want to make her happy, but it's not really something that was on my priority list because it had other things. So do it for you, not for them, I would say. There's a lot of people that do things for others. Find the ones that's relevant to you. And it's time-based. Give yourself a time to hit it. 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, a month, 6 months, whatever it is. Put a time on it, because if you don't put a time on it, you'll never do it. I prepared for the speech in 2 days. I had 7 months to work for it. Just saying. That's what I did. And then intention, affirm it, y'all. Affirm it, affirm it, affirm it, affirm it. And we're going to get into that in the next slide of accountability. But did you know that it's 2 to 3 times more impactful and more likely that you're going to actually do the thing you set out to do if you affirm it, if you make a statement? And that if you continue to write it down. And a really quick trick is this. I will, action, I will lose 10 pounds. Is a specific time. I will lose 10 pounds in 30 days, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Where? At a location. So it's going to be something like, I will go to the gym or exercise at Rockbox at 5 p.m., whatever way you want to flip it around. But give yourself this affirming statement. And the cool part is, and the best trick here too, is to do this. Get a person, get a group, get a social, get something out there that's going to help you keep accountable for it. Monetary, you can put a commitment down on it, put some money down on a goal, make a bet, a diet bet, something. Lose yourself in some of this, because basically, if you can put something down, you can get something in return. If you put nothing down, if it's free, it's out there. Why do you want to lose 5 pounds? Because of X, Y, and Z. Is it strong enough? Well, event is strong enough. Money is strong enough. If you lose yourself in something, committing to an expensive gym, put a diet bet on there, have an organization that's supporting you. There's so many different things that you need an accountability person, because you're not strong enough yourself, and it's proven because your goals, you had already got them, if it was just up to you. Cause and effect. This is a really cool thing at the end where you can kind of like just use this, you could just use this kind of like a chart where it's like you start, and so your intentions of all the things that we went through, you could actually have a starting place. And then as you make your actions, you can determine whether it's a good action or a bad action. And at the end of the day, you can actually track out, and it looks like I'm cut off there, but at the bottom it's bad and at the top it's good. And you can kind of see at the end of the day. So, thank you. That's it for today. We'll take Q&A if anyone has any of that, but it's my wife over there and that's Rockbox in the background. So just want to say thank you guys for letting me present to you guys. Hopefully you guys learned something from this presentation. And you know, that's kind of just the way we can do it. We can work on this together, but it usually doesn't happen by yourself. It usually happens in a team. It usually happens when you help yourself look in the mirror, find out what's currently going on, where you're currently in pain, and moving away from it. And usually it helps when you can affirm it and have people to help bring you along. And that's why something like Rutherford, a supportive group of people, helping you guys move towards something that you want. And that's why most of you guys are here, because you want to improve, whether it's a social relationship, a business status, a marketing problem, or something. You're in this community group, and that's definitely the way you can get to your goals.